Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wealth Preservation Podcast. We are here again with Josh Rotbart. He is joining us from Hong Kong, and then Josh Saunders, my co-host, who is joining us from Tennessee. So we've got quite the a bit of time distance between the two, but we're all here. Thank God for technology, and we're excited to get this episode kicked off. How's Hong Kong?
Good, waking up. Waking up. It's morning here. It's all good. Yeah, another busy day in the urban jungle.
Yeah. and Josh, how's nighttime in Tennessee?
Well, I just got done doing the reverse hostage negotiation, putting my kids to bed. So, yeah, just stay in there. I'll do anything if you'll just go to bed. Please, just go to bed. Yeah.
Well,
yes. That's how it went.
You have a really good microphone because I could actually hear you as you were telling them to go to bed. And I think I was recording, so maybe I'll have Jay edit that out and send it to you.
Please just go to bed. Please.
Maybe send it to me. I'll put it on loudspeaker in my kids' room also.
Right. Well, so for anyone who was not or who has not listened to our previous episode with Josh Rotbart, go back and listen to it. He has a really incredible story about going from Tel Aviv to to the States, back to Tel Aviv, working in Jerusalem, living in a 100 square foot apartment next to a billboard shining light into his face in Hong Kong, and getting into the precious metals industry. So super interesting episode. But now we're going to talk about the actually stepping into entrepreneurship and all of a sudden becoming the accountant, the marketing manager, the HR, everything, and what it's like, really as a up and coming business, right? Because I mean, you kind of got into a very niche market, and you guys have had to establish yourself. So really excited to get into that. Real quick, do you want to give everyone a 2-minute recap of just what the J.Rotbart Company does, and where you guys are based out of, and who kind of your niche market?
Right. So again, thanks for having me. So J.Rot, we're a bullion house based out of Hong Kong. We have also an office in Singapore, but we really look at ourselves as a global one-stop shop for precious metals. So the core business that we do is buying and selling metals, bullion bars and coins, gold, silver, platinum, palladium. Our clients are coming from 60 different jurisdictions, really global. So there's the trading, but as I said, we provide the entire comprehensive solution. So we arrange for secure transportation, and we arrange for secure storage. So clients can, because most of our clients buy bullion and hold it. So we help them manage the entire thing, from buying it from good refiners, transporting it safely, storing it, getting the insurance on it, and so on. We also provide finance using their bullion as collateral. So if they need money, if they have other investment to do, they can do that. And we have a sister company that helps actually cryptocurrency investors move to the safety of gold by converting their Bitcoin or USDT or whatnot to gold in a very, very safe environment. Now, our clients, we're not a retail shop. Our clients are usually quite wealthy. The minimum, I would say, the minimum kind of should like the threshold of most clients to work with us is $100,000. But we handle anything between $50,000 if someone is building a portfolio, all the way up to $50 million if it's a big family that wants to buy a chunk of gold. It's really very global, and we offer services globally. So we have clients that wants to store in Singapore. We have clients that wants to pick up gold from Italy. We have clients that we're now handling a transportation of silver coins to Missouri. Our capabilities are quite wide, because our backgrounds, I mentioned in the previous episode, is from the secure logistics industry. Mm-hmm. So we know how to move gold, we know how to store gold, and it's all complement the main business of buying and selling metals.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Very cool.
I guess to start off, because it's definitely a very interesting concept. I mean, there are some people who, at risk of, we don't want to go into any, financials, right, or any portfolio analysis or anything. But there are people who, they'll buy like a gold based ETF, right, or silver based ETF, and you're doing the actual physical assets of it. What are probably some of the biggest misconceptions you run into when people are trying to buy gold, where you're like, it's not really how this industry works?
Um, I think so. The misconception, by the way, is that first the misconception that buying gold is as good as buying ETF. That's not, and I can talk about it later. ETF is not same as buying gold,
Hmm.
but people think it's complicated. Buying physical, people think buying physical is complicated. It takes long time. It's expensive. One of the things we at J.Rotbart are very proud at is we do a lot of educational work. We'll do a lot of webinars. It's not a market. We don't convince people. We're not investment advisors. Like you guys. We want to educate people and tell them what the difference is, why it's easy to buy gold. We want to make it as easy as possible. That's why we provide a package of all the services around it. So it's not expensive to buy physical gold. It's not tedious. It's not something that is complicated, and it's not. And one misconception is that there is a charge. If you look at gold price, in Bloomberg or Reuters or any other website, you see the price is of gold or silver is per ounce, right?
Hmm.
A lot of people don't know that there's actually a premium to buy the physical product. There's a premium. You pay spot plus a fee. And what people don't know, they think the fee is our fee. And we always tell them we don't pay. We charge, of course, our fee because we do need to make a little bit of money. But the fee, we pay the fee for the refinery, actually. There's a fee for producing those products. People don't know, for example, American Eagle, right, made by the U.S. Mint. It's a legal tender. So the U.S. Mint pays royalty to the federal government on every coin minted. They pay royalty. If you're the Royal Canadian Mint, you pay royalty because it's a legal tender. A gold maple, I think it's 50 Canadian dollars. They need to pay the government for the right to use it to be a legal tender. So there are real costs associated with producing the product. So sometimes I tell client, yeah, we charge whatever. On gold, we charge, let's say, spot price plus 1%. Like, oh, you're making 1%. Like, actually, no, because we need to pay the refiners because the refiners are charging us for getting the gold from Africa or from wherever to Switzerland, melting it, sending it to Hong Kong, delivering it to our office or to the vault. It's all cost money. It's a real, unlike
Right.
finance. I don't want to speak to. I don't want to badmouth the finance. The
Oh, you
financial
you can
institutions,
You
bad
can.
yeah,
You're
no,
fine.
no, no.
but
Badmouth away.
unlike
Yeah.
unlike finance, we are selling real product which has real cost. You need to ship it. It's not moving papers around and charging the end client a fee. So these are kind of the misconception. But having said that, the fees are pretty much on par with what you pay for ETF or any other financial product. So
Yeah.
I tell you, don't be afraid. It's not expensive. It's not complicated. We are here to walk, to take the client's hand take the client by the hand, guide them through the process, make it easy, kind of, make him a bit more relaxed about it. It's because then some people are a bit nervous about it. It is putting a lot of money in. Sometimes
Yeah.
we have American clients putting gold
Right.
in Hong Kong. For them, it's like they're wiring $1 million to Hong Kong bank, and then they're supposed to be gold at the other end, right?
Yeah. So kind of talk me through that trend. Like this is just for our listeners, this is very interesting. So let's say we'll just make up an arbitrary number. We're not recommending anybody invest or do anything like this, but just if someone call up Rotbart today and they're like, hey, I want to buy $1 million worth of gold, right? And I want I want to custody it in your bullion bank there in Hong Kong. What does that transaction look like for you guys? But then also what actually happens in the background, right? Like what actually happens, what balls, what's the machine look like that goes in the background?
I imagine
Right,
you don't
right.
have a bunch of people down by the river panning for gold, right? I mean, that's
Right.
No,
No, we
Zvika's
have a
down
couple
there.
of guys
Zvika's
here.
down there. Vika's down
Vika's
there
painting.
with
It's painting gold. Better than painting those bricks.
Yeah.
So okay. Let's put it this way: from client facing, right? Client facing is
Yeah.
very simple. Client needs to do it's kind of a 3 steps process. Client needs to sign a due diligence, KYC, know your customer form, where they tell us basically who the client is, where they live. They give us a copy of passport or ID. They tell proof of address, proof of banking. Where they're gonna wire the money from.
Right.
They send it to us. Once we confirm that, and I'll go to the black box of what happens here in the office. They wire us. They sign an order form. We send them an order form saying, yeah, $1 million gold in Hong Kong. This, please confirm this is what you want to buy. They make a wire, and from the moment the funds hits our account, usually same day or the next day, they will get a storage receipt and photos of their gold bars sitting in the vault in Hong Kong or Singapore or New York, wherever they want it. In this invoice,
Right.
they'll see the bars numbers. They have their own allocated holdings. It's like having a car, so they have their own holdings belonging to them with the title. So very simple. KYC form, sending identifying documents, make a wire, bang. A day later, you get the storage receipt with those bars numbers and photos and everything, and then you get title in the gold. Now, on our back end, we have a compliance people that run. Once we get those due diligence documents, we need to make sure the client is a good client. There's none of them is on a sanction list. None of them is a drug lord. No funny business. No scammers. No pedophiles. No darknet.
Right.
Rich people and all that. And once this is confirmed, we start picking up the phone to the different refiners, especially if it's a big transaction. $1 million is not a small transaction. And we work with all the big recognized global refiners. So what we will do, and it's really send emails and pick up the phone and let them bid on whoever can give us the quickest supply at the best premium, as I mentioned, the lowest premium and the shortest supply time of this lot. And now it's a very dynamic market. We can call a refinery here. They had gold in the morning. By noon, however, Standard Chartered just bought 1 ton of gold, so they ran out of gold. So I need to go. I need to
Right.
call to the other refinery. It's very, very old school business. Again, because of the physical, it's all factories. It's a refining process. Maybe they had a supply of gold coming from Switzerland or from Africa. Maybe not. So maybe they don't have the raw material. Maybe the machine is broken. We have a refinery now that we wanted 100-gram bars, about $6,000 each. Like, the mold broke. We need to wait for 6 months until we get a new mold. We don't make this now. We need to wait. We're making only 1 kg bars, 1 kilogram bar, only $60,000 units. So it's all kind of physical.
Right.
During COVID, people weren't coming to the factory. Like, okay, when can I get the gold? Oh, in 2 weeks. Why? Because we can't get the gold out of Africa to melt it, and we don't have the guys in the factory to cast it, right? So we do those calls. By the time the client is doing the processes, we try to source the gold locally. We don't like to ship gold from one destination to another unless it's necessary, just because it's another risk and another time. It takes more time. It's another risk, more cost. So let's say Hong Kong, for
Sure.
your example, we'll call the two refiners here. We'll call probably a couple of the big dealers, the big traders, global traders. Do you have stocks in Hong Kong? And then we lock in the price. Now, again, because of our reputation, the time we've been in business, we can lock, $10-15 million worth of gold, purchase it within a phone call. So I pick up the phone,
Yeah.
and I had a friend sitting in the office. He was shocked it's done this way, but like, okay, how much? Okay, we need 1 million. How much is it? What's the spot now? Confirm. We close the phone. We hang up. We prepare the documentation. We pay them from the client's money. We pay them. Then we send those big, brinks, or as I mentioned, Malkami trucks, with the shotguns and everything. We send them to the refinery to pick it up, sending it to the vault. The vault people are looking at each gold bar, making sure it's good. There are no bands, no, they weigh each and every bar, making sure it's exactly what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be, and then they pack it, put it on the shelf, and then we can transfer it to the client. So there's a lot of,
Gotcha.
I would say, paperwork, legwork to be done. So you see the difference between what the client's seeing
Right.
and what's
Yeah.
happening
Very
here on
different.
the back end. So we have a lot of people working, and a truck is going, and we have the operation people here tracking the truck. And okay, where are you? When it will be delivered? Then the vault guys. Okay, are the bars good? Did you look at it? Did you weigh them? Show me the photos. Okay, everything looks good. So when we confirm everything is fine, the way then we transfer title, and that's way the transaction is finished in the terms that now the client has gold deposited under their name, allocated to them, packed separately, and now it's their own property.
Yeah. So just out of curiosity, is that so the gold bar, that $1 million in gold that client bought, is it sitting in its own separate area? Is it sitting in a big vault with a name tag on it? Just out of curiosity, how's it sitting there?
So there's two configurations, right? It's based on basically how much money client wants to spend. They can get their own dedicated safe or dedicated box or lockable unit, which they pay for their real estate, they call it.
Sure.
And then they pay on top of it what they call the liability charge, because we're liable for loss. If there's any loss, any crime, we mentioned the first episode, Tom Cruise running into the vault now. There is insurance on that. So
Sure.
in case something goes wrong. And by the way, most of losses are results of inside job. It's very, very unlikely for someone to actually really manage to go into a vault and run away. It happens once in a while, especially with old vaults. But the new vaults, where they have seismographic detectors around the perimeter and cameras and control center, it's very, very rare. Usually it's a bunch of two people from the vault operator colluding,
right inside,
to grab some gold. So it's either anyhow we charge liability charge. That's the basic charge, which is the insurance and the audit, the inspection, and all that. And then it's packed separately, but it's on a shelf with other clients. So if you go to vault, it'll be a big room with lots of shelf. One corner may be whatever UBS Bank. One corner will be JP Morgan. One corner will be J.Rotbart. One corner would be another wealthy family. But everything is separated, but in the same room. Or if client wants to pay a bit more on the real estate, they can get their own lockable cage or unit. And then basically we open it, we dump it inside, we close it, we send them the key, and then it's just locked there in the vault. But it's important to understand there's never, in terms of the way we operate, there's no commingling of goods. It's very, even if it's on the shelf, it's still packed separately. And it's also allocated to different account numbers. And that's important because a lot of the time clients ask, hey, what happens if you go bust, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's not our goal. It's not on our, unlike a lot of companies or banks, it's not on our balance sheet. It's not like if we go bankrupt, our liquidator can say, hey, that's your goal. It's like, no, that's our client's goal. Why? Because it's not on our balance sheet. It's packed separately, and it's allocated under different account numbers. So
like, trust me, if that was on our balance sheet, we wouldn't be going bankrupt.
Right.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
So on the other side of things, though, like if someone is selling like if someone's like, hey, I think gold is high right now, I want to get out of gold, or whatever they'd want to sell. Do you guys have to go find a buyer, or what's that kind of look like if someone says, hey, I want to get rid of this?
It's exactly the reverse. So there are two options: either we buy it ourselves. So because we do maintain some level of inventory. Either we buy it ourselves or we start picking the phone. Same thing. Okay, we're selling today. Do you want to buy it? Who's gonna buy it? Now, how much do you want? How much do you bid it? And what's your ask price? What's your ask price? And then we let them the same thing. We try to pick. For our point of view, is we want to give the best deal to the client.
Yeah,
sure.
So if I can get now another supplier that buys the gold or sell, but let's say buy the gold at, let's say, 15 bips below what the other company offered, usually we'll transfer to the client.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure we're competitive, and we are very competitive in terms of pricing. We need to make sure we're making money, but we need to make sure the client can get a good deal. And the larger the transaction, the better, the more I would say space we have for negotiating with the refiners and the other dealers to get a better price. So usually, if it's small items, we'll just buy them ourselves. If it's something we can afford, if it's not $10 million, we'll try to buy it ourselves. But yeah, it's the same process. It's all done. It sounds tedious, but it's a matter of it's a matter of an hour or a couple of hours. So again, if you're talking about misconception, there's misconception that physical gold is not liquid, but actually it's very liquid. A few months ago I sold some unit trust with my HSBC here in Hong Kong, and I didn't get the money, and I was buying a property, so I had to transfer the money, and after like 5 days, I'm calling my banker like, "Where's the money?" They're like, "Oh, you didn't read the fine letters. It's T+7. It's 7 business days for settlement when you sell your unit trust in the bank." And I'm like, "We are old school primitive gold dealers, and we pay the same day."
Yeah,
what's going on here?
Like, sorry, did I forget to fax over something to you? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
By the way, there
guess
is people are faxing. We do have a fax machine here.
you do. Wow. Oh, that's
Come on, Hong Kong, get up with
You
it.
know why? By the way, because fax is still one of the most in terms of privacy is one of the safest means of communication.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gold. You don't need security in gold. Nobody steals gold.
No. kind of. I mean, I know the answer is probably no, but it would just be kind of a funny scenario in the whole know your client thing. Are you ever doing like a little bit of a background check on someone? Like, hey, you popped a couple red flags, and the person's like, "I swear, I actually am a Nigerian prince. I get this all the time." Like, not a scam.
We had yeah, that's what we call, that's in our world it's called PEP, politically exposed person.
Okay.
Oh.
No. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
So if you're a PEP, then we need to dig deeper. Like, okay, so if you're a minister in Nigeria and you claim to have $10 million to buy gold, I don't think the salary of a minister in Nigeria is that high. So maybe you can shed a bit more light about how you made this $10 million, right?
Right.
So we're very and to be honest, we're very we're quite strict in terms of the KYC, and the reason is and it is true, a lot of avenues can be used to launder money or for tax evasion. Gold is relatively easy path because we're not a financial institution. We do not need to report our client holdings. We do not need to. We're not subject to FATCA if you're Americans. There's no common reporting standard if you're other jurisdictions. So it is true that if you buy gold that's sitting in a vault, that money then it becomes, again, if you're American, you need to declare that, right, part of your annual statement. But if you decide not to declare that, there's no reporting from our side that will allow your government to be able to know that. So for us, it's very where the money's coming from, making sure it's coming from a good bank, so don't take cash, for example, making sure you're not someone who pretends to be otherwise, and that you're not the Nigerian prince or minister suddenly. And we had listen. I had a guy here sitting in the office. The story didn't make sense. He came and said, "Yeah, when I have gold in the UK, I want to bring it over." I said, "Fine. I need to know where you got this gold." Like, "Oh, why do you need to know this?" I said, "Because you're showing out of nowhere. You're telling me you got a lot of gold in London that you need to bring. You want to move to Hong Kong. I need to know where you got it. It's otherwise." And later on, that was like recent, like last week, someone told, "Oh, the guy was a really corrupt politician from Africa." So, right, not only that, we are even obliged to report financial suspicious transactions. So if someone comes to the office and say, "Yeah, if he would come, and maybe that's why he didn't give me his passport, he didn't tell me who the guy is or anything." Because if I would have a guy here saying, "Yeah, I used to be a prime minister in Africa, and I have this $20 million worth of gold. I need to move to Hong Kong, and I don't want anyone to know about it." Our obligation is immediately to send an email to the government here saying, "Hey guys, that guy just popped in our office trying to move in this huge amount of gold without explaining where it's coming from." So we are a bit picky on that because we have a good company. We have very good clients. Everyone are great clients, good entrepreneurs working hard for the money. The last thing we want is to bring one rotten apple to our environment. It's put everyone at risk. It's put me at risk, put our business at risk. It takes long time to build reputation. One wrong move and you're out of business. So it's just not worth it.
Well, which is a great. I mean, it's kind of a great segue into the actual running of the company, right? So there's the handling the clients, but on the internal side, I mean, obviously, when you were part of a bigger company, there were plenty of operational things that you guys didn't really have to think about. How did that kind of? I mean, were your family members kind of a natural fit for taking on some of those like marketing or back end office roles, or how did you guys build a company to where you could convey that sort of confidence in your clients and climb up the ladder and become industry leaders in what you're doing now?
So first of all, because yes, family definitely helped in terms of managing the financially. As my father is a CPA for many years, or my brother's director. That's kind of the director, the partner you can bounce ideas with. Trika was not joining in the beginning yet, but one thing I did decide from the beginning, I did hire an ex colleague on a very part time kind of hourly basis to help with all the things that are tedious but necessary in this business. That's the paperwork, getting the invoice, getting the statement right, managing the inventory. All these things, this is things that to begin with said I'm gonna pay even out of pocket. I'm gonna pay for someone, as much as they need. They need 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week. I pay them on an hourly basis to make sure all the accounting, all the inventory, everything that is in good order. And that to begin with was one thing I didn't want to do myself. The rest, yeah, customer service. Oh, believe me, you work 18 hours a day. You get the phone ringing all the time. The upside, by the way, when you start this, is that part of the time I was sitting in Israel, I was sitting in Koh Phangan, on the beautiful island in Thailand, working from the beach, taking calls. So there was no, so that's kind of the slow start, no office, sitting in relatively inexpensive jurisdiction, but paying for what's important. What was important was not the office, what the brick and mortar. What was important is to have someone who knew what I was doing, helping me sorting out the accounting and the logistics, and on all the ops. So that was very important. And then as the volume grew up, that person became a full time job. Then next line came Tvika as marketing. Came another guy as marketing, and then we start growing, moving to an office, and then it become more of a real company with real responsibilities for each person. So now there's ops, now there's accounting, and now there's logistics. Having said that, some of the functions are still outsourced. So if you talked about marketing, the digital marketing, website, hosting, all this, we never did it. We never did ourselves. We outsourced immediately to a company in Thailand, a good friend, that also an entrepreneur, that's been great help in terms of bouncing ideas. And I mentioned in the previous episode who you surround yourself with, people that can do and that can encourage you and charge you with ideas. So great help from him on the market. He did the logo, even for free. Like, I want to do the logo. I'll help you building the very primitive website, a very primitive LinkedIn page. So all this was very. These are the things that we didn't do to begin with. One more thing, by the way, and I want to say, because we have a lot of entrepreneurs listening to this. One thing I realized: if you ask people for help, if you're willing to say, "Yeah, I need help, I need an advice," 99% of the time, people will be happy to dedicate their time, sit with you for a half. Even busy people, meeting with big CEOs here at the time. People say, "Listen, do you mind sparing half an hour? I want to talk with you about my business, how to grow, what the next step is." What I found, people are happy to give their advice. If you come and you say straightforward, I need help, I need an advice, could you spare half an hour? A lot of people will agree to say, "Well, sure, yeah, let me see what I can help. Let me introduce you to this person. Let me give you my advice from my experience as a CEO or as an entrepreneur." So advisory is one thing. a digital marketing, all the marketing, logo, website, everything was outsourced, still outsourced. I don't want to deal with it. Even by the way, operating Vault, we had a discussion at the time, whether we want to operate. It's a business model, right? To run your own Vault. There are
Right.
upsides to this, but again, that's something I very early decided. Coming from the Vault side of things, I knew sleeping with my phone next to me at night. So if there's someone breaks into the vault or something missing, get the phone call at 1 a.m. Say, I don't want to deal with it. There are my previous
Right.
employer. Well, I mean, they're good at it. Let's use their vaults.
Yeah.
Let's use their infrastructure rather than try to reinvent the wheel and start having our vault and hire people and then you need to vet. Just the risk is too much. So it's a balance between what you can manage, which is ops, logistics, the basic functions of accounting, which you can manage internally, and the things that are just too much of a headache, too much of spending time or really expertise that that I don't need to spend time on building a website, right? I don't want to spend time on
Right,
writing
yeah.
the content. I'll pay someone. It's worth my time. It's about knowing what's your time's worth, and then think I'm gonna write the content to the website. I'm gonna write the bullets of what I think should be there and give it to a copywriter to make, and they'll make it better, in a shorter time, and it will save. It will free my time to do what I'm good at. I'm good at, talking with potential clients, going to meetings, developing the business. I don't want to waste time on calling. Did the track arrive? Did you check the gold bars? Are they there? Is
Right.
everything okay?
Yeah.
Which I think is such a because that is so a lot of entrepreneurs, right? They can be control freaks, right? And there's a lot of you started on your own, and it can be kind of a tough thing to develop, being able to cut ties with certain parts of your business and be like, okay, not me, not me, not me, like, and start sending stuff out. So I mean, it is something that a lot of entrepreneurs need to hear. Is like, hey, you need to start firing yourself at certain things, right? Go ahead, fire yourself, hire someone else. Just do what you love doing. Like, start cutting it out.
Right. So rationally, and I agree with that. Emotionally, it's what you said earlier. It's really hard. I think Tvika here knows I'm a bit of a free control still.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think and it's funny. I mean, I can be now away for a week, and actually maybe proving some things or bank wires. Nobody needs me, to be honest.
Right.
But I still think I have things to offer the team in terms of knowing sometimes it's a matter of did you try with this supplier? It's about more of solving the problems
Right.
rather than actually do the job. It's very difficult for me to say, oh, you need to do it this way. I try not to go into this kind of micromanagement. It's hard, but I try not to, and try to more focus on let's see if I can help you find a route to solve the problem. Just because I know this guy that can help, or maybe let's try another supplier. Let's get a quotation here. Let's try to reroute this gold shipment through this jurisdiction rather than this jurisdiction. So it's more of trying to provide my professional knowledge than micromanagement people. Again, it's continuous work. I
Mm-hmm.
think
Right.
I try to spend. By the way, one of the things I try to spend, and that's the advantages of COVID. I try to spend less time in the office because I
Yeah.
think the guys are doing sometimes they're doing better job when I'm not here. Because when I'm here, I'm always kind of alert and I'm like listening. What did you just say? What is it?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And when I'm working from my home office, it's like I see the results. I can see an email I'm not happy with, and I'll pick up the phone. But it gives them, I think, more space to kind of be a bit more free in how they do their business. Again, we're trying to do that. It's work in progress.
It might sometimes come off as a little bit of an ego blow when it's like, oh, I was away for a month and wow, they got a lot more stuff done without me.
Yeah, I can at this point, as we're growing and want to grow more, for me, even the next step and what my plan is actually to hire a manager. I want to really actively, I think, actively leave running the day to day
Right.
and really deal on what I can, where I can contribute, which is not necessary. I don't manage people very well. I know that the teams know that, they feel that. So it's like always trying to, again, as much as we still as a young business and a smaller business can afford, but trying to take a step back. And yeah, and I can tell you, it's not an ego goal for me. Ideally, if the business can run well, with all the checks and balances are in place, because again, there's a lot of issues of security,
Sure.
and making sure things are, we can take risks. So in terms of risk management, I want to handle the risk management, but I definitely will be happy to go back to Capania and sit there on the beach, rent a house there, sit there for a couple of years, and that is my plan, and let the guys do their job and just
Yeah.
kick in when it comes to what's important. Level of service is important for me. I think we're giving top service, and it's really high on my agenda. Security, of course, is high on my agenda, and solutions. So I want to make sure clients are getting treated well. I want to make sure they never hear no. We can always find a way to sort out a solution. We had a client living in a small village in Italy, wanted to sell silver, want to sell some gold. I'm like, how do we even get to this village? And we managed to pull, we managed to pull it out. We managed to get. We found someone with a small truck with a good insurance coverage that can drive to through 2 countries in Europe, getting to the small village. And the guy was like, he didn't want this big armored trucks. He didn't want his neighbors to know he's keeping gold in the little village, right? So
That's
so
awesome.
all these things, I want to sit around and deal with these things,
Right.
with this type of solution, and make sure the team says yes, we can do that. Just let us talk to Josh and see what's the best solution is out there, rather than sitting here and ranting about whether they picked up the phone and say, J.Rotbart, good morning.
Yeah, I mean, so that kind of leads in. I mean, you're talking about just that scenario, but how has the industry changed over the last decade, right? I mean, gold trading and gold ownership has been around. I mean, I won't say since the beginning of time, but since people started doing commerce at a high level. So how has the industry changed? In a way, especially over the last decade, or has it not
First
changed?
of all, demand for no, no, I think it changed a lot. It changed a lot in terms that the demand from private individuals is higher than ever.
Okay.
So if you look at the if you look at the 2000 post 2008, basically, demand is much higher by private individual. Before 2008, it was mostly in the West. It was Germans that were buying gold because they had this bad experience, and from their history. But
Right.
now you have Eastern Europe in the game. You have the Americans buying a lot of gold. You have Australians. You have Brits buying a lot of gold. So a lot of more individuals are buying gold, and the infrastructure in terms of companies offering the services is much more developed. There's Singapore Freeport. There's storage facilities in Hong Kong, in the Cayman Islands, in New Zealand, in Australia. So there's a lot of more. It's more competitive market. It's a bigger
Okay.
market. It's more competitive. I think there's a lot of emphasis on the fintech side of things. A lot of companies are doing through online platforms, and so on. So definitely, it's changing. Um, in this regard, and there's more, and each company is finding their own niche. I mean, our niche is not the fintech side. We don't have an online retail website. You cannot buy gold online from us, but we're more of
Right.
like a private bank. Our niche is those people. Someone who's buying $1 million and wants it delivered to his farm in Nebraska will not be able to do it through an online platform, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Or someone who wants to sell, someone who's got inherited, and in all real cases, someone who's got just inherited 100 gold coins from his parents and sitting in a somewhere in Geneva. They need someone they can trust, that can pick up the phone, can explain them how to do it, can handle it, discreetly, professionally, securely, with the proper insurance. So that's our niche. But some companies are doing, they want to do the retail online. So I think there's more
Sure.
fragmentation in terms of each company is now doing more of its own type of clientele, and we can do that because there's just more people understand how valuable it is to have precious metals as part of your portfolio.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still so funny that it's such a business where you still pick up the phone and do
Yeah.
transactions like that. Do you think any of that will ever change with technology much, or do you think it's such a relational business that it'll be that way for quite some time?
I think it will stay this way. I know that there were a lot of so again, I've been doing it for 11 years now. There were a lot of attempts to do an online solution, linking buyers with sellers and helping up to the price discovery. But at the end, it's a small industry. If you put all the pressure, the annual conference of the London Bullion Market Association, put all of us in one hotel for conference in a pre-COVID world, maybe there's 500, 600 of us, maybe 1,000.
Right.
There's not too many. So it's more about if I can buy gold, I can fix the price and commit to purchase a $10 million with the refineries because they trust me, not because I'm
Right.
doing it through an online kind of
Yeah.
mechanized. So there are some solutions. We use some of them, but it's more on this on a kind of assistant. But it's still not the main thing. Again, not for what we do. I'm sure if you're a retail, if you're a retail business, then you can do things pretty much automated. Someone wants to buy one gold eagle, one silver maple. Definitely, I think there's advantage of being able to optimize everything and do it online. But the type of clients we accommodate, the volumes we tailor, it's still about the prices need to be competitive, supply, and the other refiners. This refinery don't want the others to know that they ran out of gold because they sold it to J.P. Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because such a small market, they kind of try to keep it to themselves.
Gotcha.
I know that because I know we're on a time limit here, and I want to respect your time, but this question may just open things up to like, okay, now we have to go into episode 3 at some point. But do you see
Yeah.
the cryptocurrency space maybe disrupting or changing a few things, at least transactionally, in your business? Because I know that's it's cryptocurrency's in the news all the time now, and everyone's going to see how this flushes out. And just from your perspective, do you see that as a viable, like, oh yeah, that could easily change the way we do business eventually?
I don't think crypto will change the way we do business.
Okay.
Cryptocurrencies as an asset class, I think it does take some of the attention.
Okay.
It's always been Bitcoin. Is being referred to often as the new gold, the new store of value.
Uh-huh.
And I spend a lot of time with crypto guys telling them actually it's not, because gold has been around for 4,000 years and has an inherent value, and it has real use. You need gold to make jewelry. You need gold to send a space, to space, to send a space shuttle to space. What the name of the thing just went up to Mars. They have gold component. The real use for these central banks are buying gold. You don't have it with Bitcoin, and you don't have the history. So that's kind of in a nutshell. And I'm happy to do a third episode on Bitcoin versus gold. I do think though, but if you look at the technology, on blockchain technology, this definitely gonna make an impact on our industry, because
Right.
our ability,
Yeah.
again, it's an old school business. If I'm now selling gold purchased in Switzerland 8 years ago, right? When I'm selling it, the provenance of where this gold coming from, how can I be sure it came directly from the refinery, rather than taking it and do what we do when we buy gold? We melt everything. Everything is being melted to make sure it's real. That's the only way you can 100% be sure gold is real. You have to melt
Yep.
everything, recast it to new bars. Takes 4 or 5 days. It costs some money. Instead of doing this, if we have a ledger on the blockchain saying, yeah, these bars left the refinery on this day, these are the numbers, and this day they were deposited at Brink's Vault in Zurich, and this day they were shipped by Malka Amit to Singapore, and this day they were sold
Yep.
by J.Rotbart. Then it makes our life easier. So
Sure.
again, I'm very confident in the blockchain technology. On the crypto side, I mean, one thing I do think crypto will help our industry is once there'll be, a lot of talks about the gold-backed token.
Mm-hmm.
So I think once it'll be a standard once, because now there are 100 projects. I think once we always stream into a few good ones, it will
Right.
help democratize the gold market. Because right now, yeah, if you're a small time investor and you have $50, you don't have a cheap way of buying gold.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, you don't.
And
That's
once we have this
correct.
gold-backed token, I think it will allow for more people on the lower end of the consumer market. So yeah, I'll buy this token that represents 1 gram of gold in the vault. And we do work with some of these projects. We do cooperate with them and we support them. But there's still no dominant project that we can
That's
say,
gonna
okay,
work.
that's gonna take
Yeah,
over.
that's
Yeah,
really
no.
interesting.
Well, when that takes off, we are definitely booking episode 3. So, 'cause that, yeah,
For sure. Yeah.
and our compliance officer will probably go nuts. But I mean,
Well, Mark, let's kick us into the speed round.
yes. Quick speed round. 4 questions again. We covered we covered misconceptions. But what would you say is probably the most inaccurate perception of the gold industry or the precious metals industry?
um, uh, you laugh, but I think the fact that I think a lot of this misconception by especially by bankers that we're like a bunch of crooks trying to hide money. That's like the
Yeah.
most it's like that's like something with bank like, oh, you're high risk because you're high risk. I'm sitting now with a bank that has been fined every year $2 billion a year for money laundering,
Yeah.
and you're looking at me doing like
I'm.
having intact reputation, like doing something wrong. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
a good
that's
point.
that's like sometimes I'm like, oh, you're putting money away. Like, no, we're helping people
Yeah.
secure their wealth, protect their money. Something that
Yeah.
banks don't do anymore. We do what banks used to do in their past. You used to have gold in a safe, and that's what you had. They wouldn't be
Yeah.
printing money and doing all these imaginary products, right? So yeah.
Right. That's again a whole other episode. We can go on that one for a long time. So, for you and your business and entrepreneurs in general, what is on the back office setup? What was kind of that turning point where you're like, man, I'm really going to outsource this. I'm going to keep this in house on the success. What did you do there?
So I think the accounting and the ops are in house thing. I mean, the accounting in terms of the daily accounting, not the financial reports and all that, but the
Sure.
ops. It's about ops and what's called the RM, the relationship managers. So ops and communication with clients, it's done in house. People trust us. They want to see us. They want to talk to us. They don't want any random person to send them an email from an outsourced center or something. Everything client facing is done by us. All
Okay.
the rest that is more professional, more I would say expertise or something you need, like mentioned, account, digital media, website, all this stuff can be done elsewhere. But everything relates to the core, talking to clients, managing their gold, follow up that this is done only in house.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, now we're getting off business, and we're gonna go with non-business related stuff. So if you had a blank check, or I guess a unlimited amount of gold bars, speak your language, to take a dream vacation with any celebrity or icon, dead or alive, where are you going and who are you taking?
That's a tough question. I'll give you okay. Where would I go? You'll find it probably silly, but I would go to Hawaii because I haven't been, and I just people love it. So I'll be just happy to go there. I've never been there, and I'm here in Asia. I have like everything here, but actually Hawaii sounds perfect. All my friends that live there, photos sound like amazing place to be.
Maui is pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie to you. Maui's pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I would go. Who would I go to? It's hard. I can tell you who I'd go to now with all the craziness going on. So I was very affected when I was a child when I read 1984 by George Orwell, and then reading
Okay.
Animal Farm and all. I would like
Yeah.
and I read it when I was too young, so it's kind of had too much of a big effect on me. That's why I'm totally against any I'm very sensitive to freedom of speech, freedom of thought. Limiting your freedoms is for me a big big red flag. I would like him to come today. I would like to take him to Hawaii and see what's going on in the world today, and tell me and tell me it's not gonna get worse, because I'm so pessimistic, to be honest. because of this book, 1984, Animal Farm, all his writing, the way he identified what's going to happen today in the 30s of the last century. Either I'm going to tell him, listen, you're right to be pessimistic and anxious. It's going to be downhill. It's going to continue to be downhill. Or maybe you have some good words of wisdom saying, listen, as someone who saw all this crazy environment happening, I can say it's going to get better. Because I'm a bit kind of pessimistic about where we're heading as a civilization, right? So, as society.
Not the answer
Yeah?
Not the answer I was expecting. You take George Orwell to Maui. Wow, that was not where I was going to go with that.
Okay. I'll tell you why. And then you see how bipolar I am. Because I had to think about another lighter option.
Yeah.
So get ready for that. I would go with Madonna.
Oh. Well, I had that one on my J.Rotbart bingo. Yeah, I had Madonna instead of George Orwell for sure.
Yeah. I love it.
Something a bit more light and fun, a bit more.
Wait, but are you going with like 1980s Madonna or 2021 Madonna? Because she's a little,
No, let's say just 2000. Yeah, let's say 15 years ago is good enough.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
A little older, but not quite as crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Not the 80s
not quite
kind
wild.
of chic. Not the 80s like a virgin kind of chic. No, that's a bit premature for me. But yeah. Confessions on the dance floor. If you know that.
There you go. Yes. Man, we're all topics. All right. Last question before we go is if you could go and acquire one skill or talent, right? Like anything, what would you want it to be?
Do something around music. Like play an instrument, or actually my dream, which my wife should sometime try this, is to be a conductor.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Because I like music, and just always seeing them kind of I would say being able to produce music or to express yourself by music, but also just being, we talk about sound systems. Just think about sitting in the middle of this huge live animal.
Yeah,
that is true surround sound.
True, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So
would you have big hair though? Would you grow big hair? Because all good conductors have like huge long hair.
No, I want a big stick though.
I love it. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there is something kind of incredible about music, where there are some really, really ugly people out there, but if they're really good at music, they are just, I mean, as soon as they start playing guitar or flute or whatever it is, you're like, wow, that person looks amazing. They look stoic, majestic. That's just amazing. Take away the instrument, they're a dog.
Yeah. Listen, I can tell you a memory I have, like, for, I don't know, when I was like 20 or something. There was a guy, I went to this concert of this French jazz violin player. Like, think of that. I think called Grappelli, I think his name was. And he was 80 something. And he was a legend. I read about him. He was a legend. I went to see him. And the curtain opens, and you see a guy that cannot walk by himself. He's got two kind of male nurses carrying him and sitting, and then they bring him the violin, and got the whole jazz band around him and everything, and they give him the violin and the thing, and the guy goes crazy for 2 hours. He just going crazy there, like playing like a madman. Beautiful music, full of energy. 2 hours in a row. Then it's done, like something, and then the two guys come and take him out.
Oh, that is incredible.
Shows you how intense it is, and how these people, and it was being like really 85 or something. You wouldn't imagine, but there's something about music, I think, that connects people, and it gets the good and allows you, if you're listening to it, kind of to forget about anything else. It can be ugly, they can be old, they can be young, they can be, if they're good at it, it's magical.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. That is something with energy, for sure. Like you kind of talked about in the first episode, when you have good karma and good energy, it changes things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So perfect. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for just shedding so much light on this industry and really how you guys operate as a company. Really excited to publish this episode. Real quick, everyone. As always, nothing you say can or should be taken as tax, legal, or financial advice. If you are interested in anything discussed here, go talk to your CPA. Go talk to your attorney. Give J.Rotbart and Company a call. Talk to your financial advisor and get good counsel before you make decisions. All links to everything we talked about and to Joshua's company, his social media, his YouTube is going to be in the podcast descriptions. And Josh, thank you again so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was great.
Yeah, we look forward. We're gonna have to talk about that cryptocurrency and gold episode, because that would be a really, really good episode.
And by the way, one thing we didn't even talk about why gold.
Yeah, we didn't even get in there. Yeah.
I felt like I'm seeing my therapist, but like I'm not talking about gold.
Oh, well, Josh, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate you being on and taking the time to do this.